At this stage, I'd like to bring in Mr. Jayant Davar. It appears from initial discussions that the external demand factors seem to be bleak. As such, you being a very successful first generation entrepreneur, do you think more than ever before the industry needs an entrepreneurial spirit today to look beyond challenges and unlock opportunities? I still feel that beyond scrappage and GST, there are a couple of other opportunities, at least for the component industry, to look from import substitution perspective, increasing the share of business in aftermarket, increasing exports. And, what are your thoughts, Mr. Charak, on this?
Well, I'm glad you isolated me from the crystal ball glazing for the future, because I'm in no position to say how much the demand is likely to be. I'm also a little wary of making comments on expecting too much from the government. With the constraints in the fiscal space, to expect that you will get a GST reduction. Scrappage policy is possible, but that's something Anuj would know. We've been trying to go to the government for the last 15 years. I hope it happens. It will give a little bit of fill-up, but at the end of the day, we need to understand, not depending on the government, what is it that we need to do? We are all commercial enterprises, and to sit back and think that somebody is going to hold our pamper is not going to really work for us. So whether it is in the short term or the medium term, and we spoke about VUCA. Now, VUCA is a term that's been used now for the past 25 years. And every time there's something happened, we come up and we say, these are VUCA times and we have to adjust. I remember 25 years ago, we were all explaining what VUCA meant. Today, I think my belief system is that I personally and my company have gone through 3 major downturns with subjugation of demand. But if I look post those periods, we've not only come up strong, we have come up with a growth graph of much better than what was before. And these are times when we need to consolidate. I do believe you use the term challenges bring opportunities. I'm a firm believer of that. I still believe that, when an aircraft takes off, it takes off against the wind, not with it. And therefore, it's time for us to introspect and see what needs to be done. Anuj spoke very correctly and said, this is time for us to tighten the slack. We need to remove the muda from the system. But I would go a step further and say that this is a time to do different things and completely differently. And examples for this could be, things are going to change. I've already been talking to some of my customers, especially in the two-wheeler arena, even in the passenger vehicle segment, who are now in their marketing scheme of things are looking at how much sales are they going to do from online kind of businesses. This was something that was unheard of, for somebody to go order a car online, go and deliver it. People have been telling me, some of the marketing people have been telling me, listen, we have so many showrooms around the country in the automotive trade, and this is time for us to reduce the number of showrooms. We can have, instead of having 10 showrooms, let's have 2 really big ones where people can come and feel, experience the vehicle, and then we have those delivered to their places, instead of saying go to smaller ones. So I think the whole concept is going to catapult into a change. If you look at the real estate industry, for example, similar things have been happening. But coming back to what we are doing as a company, I operate today 43 plants around the world, a large part of them in India, but in North America, in Europe, in the East, and so on and so forth. We've had one mandate, and we started working on that from day one when COVID happened. And we saw that this is something which will not take us far unless and until we take some immediate steps. So some of the things that have happened with us is that we put on the mandate conserving of cash, which I think is standard. We did something where we said cut down capital expenditure, which I think is again a common sense. But what we did something more. We attributed more budgets to R&D, for example. I think if you look at the trucking industry again, the technology has changed over the last 50 years or 60 years, but the growth of change was much less. And now I think with mandates happening, whether they be on account of safety mandates or pollution mandates and so on and so forth, the changes that are going to happen from now on will probably be much, much faster. As it is, I think the industry was grappling with the change in BS6, which was happening too quickly. There were various other safety norms and comfort norms which were put into place. But I think those are being taken now as the order of the day. How can we attribute and localize a lot of them? I know for a fact there are a number of mandates that have come in recent times have involved a lot of imported items and components being imported. So you have, let's say in the area of electronics that are now being added to the trucking industry. If you look at those electronics, I wouldn't be surprised if the actual number of imports of subcomponents within those are to the range of almost 60% or 65%. Now, how much effort is being put to localize all of that? All of us are talking about Atmanirbhar. Of course, today we've heard that the government has also announced a 50,000 crore scheme for electronics and so on and so forth. But the thing is for us to absorb, work together. A lot is being said in the industry about it being a symbiotic relationship between the OEMs, the suppliers, the dealers, and so on and so forth. But to my mind, it is limited. A lot is talk and less is work. This is time for actually us to go and put our money where our mouth is. I think this is the time for us to look at what changes are coming in. This is the time for us to, I saw some questions, people were talking about drivers. This is time for us to upgrade our drivers. This is our time to train them more for the new vehicles that are coming on the road. This is the time when you train them better and you pay them better, there is a differential that's being created. Now, to me, this is the time where unfortunately, there will be winners and there will be losers. We have to accept that. In our company, for example, like I said, it's post-challenging times and through down times, we've come out strong to be able to acquire other companies. So this is opportunity for many who, if they have strong balance sheets today, can conserve cash. It's time for several dealers to close down and several of them to become stronger. It's the same with the OEMs, it's same with the suppliers and so on and so forth. So to me, these are times of opportunities. We have to do things differently, sell different products, sell them differently. India does have a competitive advantage. And yet, we still are sometimes crash out on not being able to export as much as we should. There are opportunities. We need to upgrade. I remember the time when companies like Mercedes-Benz entered the country or Volvo entered the country. Some of my panelists would agree. There was a huge amount of an pessimism to the content and context of the fact that those vehicles were 4 times, 5 times more expensive. They might be selling even smaller volumes today, but the rate of growth in terms of percentage is great. I understand their profitability margins are really not that bad. And now India is being discussed in their boardrooms everywhere saying this is the land of opportunity. And some of us who've been in India for a long time need to make sure that we grasp this opportunity in dealing with our customers, our people, our suppliers, and at the end of the day, come out proud and winners. I'm not going to go any further than to just compound by saying this is time for flexibility, agility, and to think differently than you've ever done before. This is not the time for us to do incremental stuff. You cannot think of incremental cost cuts. You've got to look at dramatic cost cuts. I remember when we started doing lean manufacturing or we started doing TPM, for example, and so on and so forth. One of the things that we were taught by our gurus was don't look at 5% reduction and 2% reduction in cost. Go out there and say 50% reduction in cost. Once you say 50%, you will think much bigger. And this is the time to think much bigger of an industry that is probably going to be much smaller. You cannot go back thinking that things will go back to normal. Things will never go back to normal. The normal would be different. I'm not saying the normal would mean lesser vehicles, but it could mean a different way of selling vehicles, different kind of vehicles to a different customer. The fleets aspects could change, the leasing models could change, and some of us who can take those lead in delivering those models will be the winners going forward. I'm just going to stop there. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jayant, and I can see the entrepreneurial spirit right there as you speak. And if I had to summarize, a couple of things that you did add on is one of the major inhibitors that I also see with a lot of first generation entrepreneurs that I interact with is it's a mindset issue. So you need to have adopt the change very quickly, as you rightly said. Agility is the key. More importantly, increasing competitiveness. India is known for frugal, robust, and reliable solutions. I think so. It's now time for us to move from the build to print business models to focusing investments in innovation, design, and R&D, as you rightly have. And you also touched upon the import substitution aspect on electronic components. For years, we have been seeing electronic components imported to the tune of 65-70% is the least I can think of. And with the BS6 electronic content going up, we will be net importers of most of these components. So I do see certainly there's enough opportunity for many of us here to diversify, upgrade, and take these opportunities, I believe. Thank you so much for these highlights. I'd like to discuss more.
Now, if you go back and see, when we were taught accounts in our MBAs or whatever, we were taught the profit and loss methodologies. And there was also a methodology of something called fixed costs and variable costs. Over the past VUCA times, that all of that has changed. There is nothing called a fixed cost or a variable cost. We call everything a dynamic cost. Now, if you look at how traditionally we used to be brought about costs, we used to say, well, we have SAP licenses, for example, or Oracle licenses, for example. And there is a fixed cost. We had to do that. In fact, that had to be raised. During times of COVID, we've gone to those people and said, listen, I am not affording this particular price. Are you prepared to give me my seats of 7,000 sets that I have or not? Believe me, many of them have said next 3 months, no cost. Beyond that, a certain discount. Beyond that, deferment. So you attack everything, whether they were rentals that have been attacked. I was talking to the real estate panel the other day, and we spoke about how costs have been brought down dramatically. Dramatically. If you go back and see the leasing model of vehicles, for example, there was a time there was no leasing models, and then you had NBFCs, and then the OEMs came up with their own finance companies to be able to facilitate finance. That was a different scenario. In the last couple of years, we've also had problems with NBFCs and financing. All of a sudden, everybody wants a credit score, which is not possible for everyone to give. So I think this is time for us to address every cost element, every cost element. Number one. Number two, methodologies of selling, methodologies of facilitating your customer so that the effective cost of the vehicle goes down in one form or the other. If you spend less on a showroom, the cost of the vehicle goes down. If Mr. Katuria spends less in building anything that he does, the cost goes down. I mentioned imports. You import fewer components from overseas in electronics because, believe me, now there are so many people who are doing this in India with bringing the same technologies. It's cheaper to bring down the costs of those by 20% and so on and so forth. So one is this, one is the act of selling and how we can do it better. My point is every cost needs to be addressed for a better experience for the customer, for a better experience of the driver, because he's the one who's actually dealing with your vehicle on a daily basis. How can we generate all of this? Now, all this requires is not just this panel discussion, but a few brainstorming sessions with some smart people with an attribute to myself that says, listen, I am prepared to look at dramatic changes, at innovation that has never been looked forward by before. Concepts are changing, and we will have to think differently and try out a few things. That's it. Just a quick point regarding connected vehicles, right? I think some people have done an amazing job there. And I was recently in one of my customers' conferences where they gave in data for usage of their vehicles. I can even name them, JCB, for example. spoke about how each one of their machines all over India is connected to them, and they know how much usage is being done by the hour, by the day, by the minute, which is the one. So diagnostic connection today is an amazing tool, not only for service centers, but for companies and for everything. And to have all your machines and all your vehicles going forward, all vehicles are going to be connected if they aren't already, because the cost of connectivity is so small that a dealer knows what is happening, the OEM knows what is happening, the supplier gets to know what is happening. Because it's happened worldwide, this is the best time to launch all of that, to be able to get a feedback and make the experience of a customer, a driver, and the entire value chain much more effective.